Howdy. Welcome back to Dion Talk. This is going to be one of my Tuesday lives that happen at 4 p.m. Pacific. Hope to see you here again in the future. Hello, Futureland. This live will go about an hour and a half. I might have some surprise guests that pop in. I've invited a few people. I will be giving away a audiobook by the end of the video. So if you don't want to hang around for it, come back and watch the end to see who won. I would like you to take the 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires that just came out from Michael Zuber, author of One Rental at a Time, because I like the narrator. But if you already own it, you can pick any other Audible book that you want off of audible.com. And I would like it to be finance related or real estate related, but it doesn't have to be. It can literally be any book that you want. Something off your wish list, if you like. The purpose of my content is to help the average individual realize that you can reach financial freedom in 10 years or less and make work completely optional, even if you're not starting from the best position. And so this video is going to cover the biggest fear in early retirement. Some of the fears I'm going to talk about when I talk about the biggest fear in early retirement are not much different than the regular fears that people have in retirement. There's like the top 3 or 4 that almost always come up in every conversation. And there's been several studies done that I'm going to quote some percentages from on what most people's biggest fear in retirement is. So if you're here in the live and you want to leave in the comments what your biggest fear in early retirement is, you could do that now while I'm talking about the fears that people have in regular retirement and then how I'm going to relate those to early retirement. If you start investing when you're 20, 25, or 30, we can retire as early as 30, 35, or 40. I made it to 40 without ever having $1,000 in the bank and started as a single parent with 3 kids, not making a lot of money, and had a lot of bad debt that I didn't know about until the divorce. So I wasn't starting from the best position. I reached financial freedom in about 8 years, financial independence in about 8 years. Financial freedom happened around 12, and time freedom finally went out, and I actually retired from a job that I love. So what is my biggest fear? I've actually had to spend some time today thinking about it, because when I talk about the fears that people have in retirement, I put a plan in place to alleviate those fears. Fear to me is kind of like risk. We mitigate it. We find a way to minimize it. So from all the studies that I looked at and several videos that I watched, most people's biggest fear, and there are some big fears in retirement. The big fear that really came up is 40% of Americans fear retirement more than they fear death, which took me a minute to process. They don't really fear retirement. It's weird wording the way the studies were done. They fear that they might not be able to retire. So they fear what their retirement is going to be like. So if they do retire, since they're not really able to, they're going to have to give up on lifestyle, healthcare, basic living necessities. So I get that it causes a lot of stress, that if 40% of the people feel like it's more scary than death, that's a real fear. The biggest fear that they came up with, and it was 87% of people had the biggest fear in retirement, was lack of income. Fear of losing money, not having money coming in enough to support their lifestyle. And so that, for me, is easy to mitigate with simple to mitigate, maybe not easy, but it's easy to mitigate with cash flow. What is a job when you go to work? A W-2. It's cash flow. So we need cash flow that comes in from not having to work. That's where we get the retired part. You can pick one of the 3 paths. You can start and grow a business and get it to the point where it's large enough for someone else to run the day-to-day. You can invest in stocks and use a dividend portfolio or use the 4% rule, or you can do what I did and invest in real estate. Where the cash flow coming in from rentals, the profit after all expenses like principal, interest, taxes, insurance, paying, setting aside money for repairs, maintenance, and vacancy is multiples of what it takes for you to live. Don't just think it costs me $5,000 a month to live. So if I have $5,000 a month in cash flow, I'm going to retire. If it costs you 5, you want 15 or 20, right? You want multiples, 2 or 3, maybe 4 times how much it costs you to live coming in, that you don't have to sell your life 1 hour at a time for it to come in. So for me, that money part was fairly simple. I invested in real estate. I'm 100% invested in real estate. So I had to be very careful and diversify in such a way that I don't ever lose sleep thinking I could lose money. I've invested planning on rents to go down 50% and still not have to go back to work, even though since we've started tracking the data, rents have never once gone down in a 5-year period. There are some local markets where rents went down, where there was only one economic driver, one mill or one type of industry that went away. That area can be impacted. So I diversified my properties more than 10 miles apart, close to several economic drivers, like a base, a port, a college, hospital, a Boeing or Amazon, or a large business, or a large population like 100,000 or more. 2 or 3, maybe even more of those economic drivers close to each property. Then I diversified the tenant base. About 1/3 military, 1/3 Section 8, 1/3 working or retired. So a stock market crash, a prolonged government shutdown, or a pandemic doesn't even impact my entire portfolio. So the money part for me really isn't a fear. The second biggest fear from the studies is the fear of healthcare, what that's going to be like in retirement. And most people I've heard from, not just the studies, but the people I've talked to, this is the big fear, is healthcare. We can all focus on the numbers of when to retire. My live stream last week was when to retire, not really doing with the money. When are you ready to retire? But healthcare is a big issue. And that confuses me because, for the last 13 years, I worked at a truck driving. So I worked at several companies in my life. I've been in the Marines, I've been in law enforcement. I was a truck driver. In the last 13 years, I worked at a truck driving school. The last 5 or 7 years or so, I was the company president. So I was in a management role at that company, and I saw the expenses that we had for healthcare. The person is paying 5 to 10%. So they pay somewhere between $50 and $150 for their healthcare. And then the company is paying that 90 to 95%, somewhere between $1,000 and $1,400. Which meant the total cost of healthcare for that person was the employer's contribution to it and the employee's contribution. And some people, their company covers the whole cost. Some companies don't have healthcare. But put all that together, the cost was somewhere between $1,100 and $1,600 for healthcare in the United States. If you become an expat and you move to another country like Thailand or Colombia, and you get the same healthcare, but outside of the United States, it's like $60 a month for a couple. So that fear of healthcare really goes away. But if you live in the United States and you have that healthcare cost of now up to $1,500, $1,600, and that was for fairly older people, younger people, it would be even less. Obamacare is still a thing. You can join, I don't want to say if it's church or religion groups of people that do healthcare as a group. Lumberjack Landlord is making an LLC so that it's a company, so we can get a company discount on his healthcare. But for me, it's just have an asset for every expense. I look at healthcare like I look at food. If you don't have healthcare, you could run into problems. If you don't have food, you're going to run into problems. And instead of going and living that super frugal life, because financial freedom for me is not about being frugal, I spend somewhere between $1,000 and $2,000 a month on food because I like to enjoy food and never have to think about the price tag. If I had to think about that, I would have kept working and kept investing until I got money to where I wouldn't have to. I don't want to have to worry about money. So since I want to spend $1,000 to $2,000 a month on food, and I want to have a nice vehicle, and I want to have healthcare, I invested until I had an asset for every expense. I literally have a duplex that I call the vehicle duplex. When I purchased it, it was cash flowing between $800 and $900 a month, maybe a little bit more than that. Now it's cash flowing over $1,500 a month. And in my mind, I mentally tabulate that amount of money going to the side for the next vehicle purchase. So I have an asset to pay for it. Healthcare duplex, food duplex, travel and entertainment triplex, have an asset for every expense. So the lack of healthcare, not a big concern for me. The next two things on these studies, 77% and 71%, were inactivity, mental inactivity and physical inactivity. Not going to be a problem for me. Work got in the way of being active for me. I was running a truck driving school. So you're either standing in a classroom, sitting in a truck, or sitting at a desk. There's not a lot of activity there. If you have a very physical job, I could totally see that giving up your physical job. Now you're in charge of having a gym routine, a jogging routine, a walking routine, I have 3 different VR sets and I do all kinds of calisthenic type games in VR. So that physical activity is not a problem for me. Mental, not a problem for me with YouTube University. I think the ability to learn any new subject is there. I can be as active in my real estate, or if I wanted to, I could be as active in my stocks if I'd ever decided to invest in stocks or start and grow a business. So the mental and physical activity level, not a concern for me. Don't sit on the couch and grab the remote. Don't just say, I'm going to binge every show I've ever missed for the next 10 years. Don't be one of those people who dies 2 years after retiring. The last one out of the list, lowest amount, which for me would have been towards the top, would be lack of interaction with people. The peopling, like how much time do you interact? I went from working 50 to 60 hours at a school where I interacted with 2,000 students a year, 60 staff on a daily basis, worked at least Monday through Friday, if not weekend jobs. Hiring events, worked with state agencies, worked with 1,200 employers, ran a nonprofit. Like I was interacting with people daily, and all of a sudden, all that's gone when you retire. Oh, thank God. Have you met people that someone's fear could be that they don't have enough people in their life? Ugh, not an issue for me. People might not understand this because I have a YouTube channel and I'm very active on social media. In the BiggerPockets forums, in the BiggerPockets Facebook groups, in the One Rental at a Time group, I'm trying to help people reach financial freedom. So it seems like I'm very people-y, right? That's because I'm sitting in this room with a camera or a keyboard, not the people. And yes, a couple of times a year, I'll go to an event. I'll be the speaker. I'll be the presenter. I'll do whatever. I will go to the monthly meetups with the Tacoma FI group. So if you live around here, great to meet with people. But once a month and then a couple of things a year is so much better than 50 to 60 hours of forced interaction with people. Even at a truck driving school where everyone I was interacting with was trying to better their life. Like when I worked in law enforcement, I was dealing with the victim or the suspect on the worst day of their life. Like that sucked. But for the last 13 years, I was only dealing with people that I actually kind of wanted to deal with. Still sucked. People. So today, I thought I would make this video on what is my biggest fear with retiring early. And I racked my brain. And so here's how it changes from retirement fears to retiring early fears. And I want to say thank you for a couple of super chats I saw that came in here really quick. Tom Klein, howdy, nice to see you. Glad to be here. Talk membership. I will talk membership because I'm not sure how that's going to go yet. The membership is I want to do a weekly live with just members. So those, a lot less people then come into these and don't get it in Futureland, where we can actually share a few more things and we can make sure there's no trolls in the comments. And YouTube is thinking about coming out with a course platform where I think it's going to be members into a course, because I want to share this information. My goal wasn't really to monetize YouTube. YouTube came out in October of 2020 and said, we're going to put ads on every channel. And then I learned how the algorithm works. And if you're monetized and if you get super chats, then YouTube is more likely to share your content with somebody else. And it helps grow your channel to get the information to more people. So I'm kind of behind that. But as far as making a course, I want to make a course. I want to help people, but just setting one up is around $5,000. So if I spent $5,000 to make a course, then I technically would have to monetize it to recoup the money, because I don't mind giving up time to share the information. I don't want to give up money to share the information. That's not the point of this. So the memberships are probably going to turn into something like a course. I haven't figured out how YouTube's going to arrange that yet. And then Alizette, howdy, cheers, tequila alien, Tuesday, alien vodka, water. Networked with lenders and real estate agents last week. Can you please explain how to find area average yield? I can. I'm going to get to that question as soon as I wrap up on the topic here. Thank you for that. And then Dividend Dave, howdy. Gas for the road trip. Thank you. Yes, I leave as soon as this is over, taking off for the week. So I actually did the Three Amigos this morning instead of Thursdays, which is really great to be in a situation where your friends can shift their schedules around to help you not have a schedule. The fears in retiring early are amplified because of time. If you retire at 65, you're Medicare age, so healthcare is a lot less of a concern. And you're close to maximum Social Security at 67. My recommendation is to take it at 62, have a video on that. If your concern is lack of money, the earlier you retire, the longer the lifespan, the more likely you are to run out of money. If there's a 9 or 15-year bear market in the stock market, and that was your portfolio, or if the business changes and all of a sudden, what do they call them? Self-driving trucks come out and CDL training goes away, or whatever changes in the world, the longer that span is, the more likely things are to happen. So you need to mitigate it. Keep diversifying, keep investing in different assets. Focus on one asset to become wealthy. Once you're wealthy, look at different asset classes to invest to diversify. And before I get to all of the questions, I literally thought all day, what's my biggest fear in retirement? And I can't come up with one. I thought if I came up with one, I might still be working. It's not having enough interaction with people. This is perfect interaction for me. So thank you all for being here and being my therapy session. It's not lack of money. Money just keeps growing in real estate. Being diversified. Inflation helps people that own assets. I get it. It sucks to have inflation impact normal people. I say normal people because I think we're the weird ones. We're the ones working on financial freedom before we're really old. That's kind of weird. But it's what we should all be doing. I'm still going to rack my brain to try to think of a fear in early retirement. So, I did write one down, but it's kind of a cop-out. And it kind of almost attacks someone that I know that I consider a friend, and I don't want to do that. But my biggest fear in retirement is that financial freedom becomes a job. So some people are afraid they would be bored and go back to work. Or some people feel like they have no purpose. So growing a YouTube channel takes up time, so we're not bored, and helps us help people, so we feel like we have purpose. So if we know somebody that has a YouTube channel who makes 7 to 10 videos a day, 7 days a week, it starts to look like a job. And I never found purpose in work. So that's my biggest fear, is I don't want this to turn into a job. I want to help people reach financial freedom. And I've explained it a few times before for very selfish reasons. So if you want to know what my selfish reasons are for wanting to share this information, let me know in the chat and I will cover that. Thank you, David and Dave, for the gas for the road trip. I appreciate it. It'll probably go into the quad because that's where I'm going to spend most of my time for the next couple days. Lauren, thank you for the fun money. I appreciate that. Howdy. Hopefully you're enjoying the books. Sorry, the one narrator's not better. One rental at a time. Michael Zuber is in the building. I think it's the first time you've been on one of my lives, Mike. Howdy, good to see you. Favor, please call me before you head out. I have a favor to ask. I will do that. Hey Siri, remind me to call Mike at 7 o'clock tonight. How's that?
Okay, added to today's reminders.
Perfect. And thanks for coming to the live stream. If I knew you were going to be on at this time, I would have sent you an invite like I did to a few other people who might pop in here, surprisingly, in a bit. Also, just so everyone knows, I really appreciate the super chats. That does tell YouTube that, somebody likes the content. Please share it with other people. And tonight I am giving away a copy of 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires by Michael Zuber. I am going to use regular chats. It doesn't have to be a super chat. I appreciate those. So depending on how many chats that we have come in, if nobody shows up, I would probably use this 20-sided. I have a 60-sided, I have a 100-sided dice. But at the end of the video tonight, I'll be giving away, somebody please remind me if I forget, a copy of that book. If you already have it, he also has One Rental at a Time. And if you already have that, then you can go for something like Set for Life, Cash Flow Quadrant, one of the other finance books, or any book you want. 20 minutes to cover my opening topic. I'm getting better. I'm trying to get that down to 10 minutes. And one of these days, I'm going to actually remember to push record so I can make an intro video there. And here's one of the surprise guests. Howdy, Beth.
Hey there.
How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Great. Hey, I finally arrived. Dion invited me on the live stream. Thank you.
And you didn't have to come and risk your life on the slides.
I know. Hey, anything for you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Wait till next week when we have the water slides.
Yes.
No, waterfalls.
Waterfall.
Let's not mix
Water
those
is
up.
going to be involved. Yes.
Exactly.
No slides though. I don't think. We'll see. You never know. You never know.
No, you never do.
Yeah.
Awesome. So real quick question before I get into the questions here. You still work, for people who might not know who Beth Traverso is.
Yeah.
You have, I think, 19, is it 19 properties?
I have 19 properties, and sorry for the weird glare. I'm trying to block it and I can't,
Oh,
but I'm making it up as I go here. But yeah, so I've been investing for over 20 years in the Seattle area, high cost area. And I'm a real estate broker and team leader in the area just outside Seattle too. And that's how our paths crossed, just getting into this investing thing and networking and getting to know other people that are doing the work too and in the game. And that's why I love this whole group.
So in keeping with today's topic, you are currently working, but if you retire, when you retire,
Yeah.
what do you think is going to be your biggest fear?
I think my biggest fear is going to be not having enough to do, because I'm the kind of person that I like to run at about 80 miles an hour all the time. And I like to be doing a lot all the time. So I like to be able to turn it off. And that's the problem with working, especially being self-employed in real estate. It's kind of hard to decide when you're going to turn it off or not. And when you're retired, you have all this flexibility, and so much of my social life is wrapped up in my work too, that I definitely would have to develop that outside work, which I think I'm doing a decent job of, but it would be a lot different, especially after I have 3 kids at home. And if they're gone and I'm not working, then I'll have to basically just redefine my whole self. And that's my biggest fear.
I think what you're going to find, and I'm kind of understanding this now. I've heard it before where a lot of people say, when I retired, I was shocked at all of the things there are to do, and I wondered how I had time to work before.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're going to find. I think with your personality and the way you interact with people, you're going to be doing so much, you're going to wonder how you did it when you had to work.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah, and priorities may shift and change, and have time to do other things and volunteer work and find ways to have purpose outside of a job. Because a job, it's kind of weird to have a purpose as a job as your purpose, but when it's your own business that you built from nothing, like I did, it is more of my identity than if I was just working for somebody else, I think. So
I think that's how my last employers kept me around so long. They figured that I didn't find purpose in work. Like, if you have to be paid to be there, it shouldn't be your purpose. So they went with title and responsibility. Make you the company president. Literally everybody's job is depending on you, making sure there's enough work next week. And that kept me around for 4 years longer than I probably needed to stay.
Right. And so for me, I'm going to try to do kind of what you were talking about for one of the passive incomes, is where if you develop a business enough that you can step away and it still operates without you. Because I would love it if my team and employees could still have their livelihood secure, and I maybe just don't have to be there. And a lot of agents do tend to kind of sort of dip their toe in once in a while, like this 4-hour work week type of thing, where maybe you just check in with the team once a week and take the rest of the time off. There might be a way to kind of quit without actually quitting. We'll see. I'm a little ways off though. I don't think I'm not feeling it quite yet. I think I'll know when the time's right. There are certain days where I want to quit, like on the spot, but we all have those days.
People have those days. Michael Zuber had a day where he went in, had a bad day, and he just, like, 45 minutes later, he was in his car on his way home. I went in and had a great day, like the best day. And I was like, oh, I should quit at the top of my game. And that was it.
They say if you're going to go out on top, why wait till things are bad?
Yeah, it's something I'm really glad I did, because I will never resent the job. I will never have bad memories of the job. I stayed while everything was going great, and then had an exit where finances, healthcare, time, all that stuff doesn't matter, to where I could retire. I could have stayed until I had a bad day, and then that's what I would have always associated that job with.
True.
So what I like to do is go through each comment as much as we can. This is going to go on until 5:30. You don't have to stay the whole time, but as long as you
Yeah,
stay,
I'll
that'd
have
be
to duck
great.
out here in about 15 minutes or so, but I'll hang
Okay.
out a little bit.
However long
Yeah.
you can hang out, I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thanks.
So let me see if I can check through really quick to see if there's any questions. Bunch of people saying hello, howdy everybody. And so Mike actually put in a message and a super chat to give him a call. Looking to be. Lauren says, my biggest fear is that I won't get to financial independence soon enough. Can't wait to have my time freedom. I'm so ready to retire. Good. I like that. Levi, howdy. Your biggest fear from Federal Way is that you waited too long to pull the trigger. Yeah, because if you stay at the job long enough, eventually you would start to resent it.
Right.
Let me skip through here. I'll go through all of these. Trained like God, see, Captain is one of our therapists. I'm trained by aliens, alien vodka.
Okay. There's some inside jokes here.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Leo, how did Dion miss the session with your brother but enjoyed the video? Do you recommend waiting until next year to buy a next rental as prices will be lower due to less traffic, or wait longer? I'll let you, Beth, if you like.
Well, if rates are higher and prices are lower, are you coming out ahead? I guess potentially. Anytime you try to time the market, that's always a risky endeavor, because we never know what the market's going to do. What if prices don't go down? There's a lot of people, and I'm one of them. I don't think we're going to see in most markets a major correction. Correction maybe, but as far as like a crash, I don't personally see that coming, and I know some people disagree with that. But the truth of the matter is nobody knows. So I've been in real estate for 25 plus years, just so I've seen a lot of markets and a lot of fluctuations. And I know that trying to time is always difficult. And especially if we're in a rising interest rate atmosphere, your payment may be just as much or more, even if the price is a little bit lower. I would focus on great deals, like we always say. And I purchase in every single market, whether it's up or down, or I've purchased this year, I've purchased in 2020, I purchased before that, I'm still looking. For me, it matters more about the deal. I'm a long-term hold investor, so it doesn't really matter what happens in 6 months or a year, really. Even if it goes up a little bit after I purchase, it's fine because I'm locking in and waiting, for at least 5-10 year horizon.
So, Leo, welcome to the channel. Thank you for hanging out. I really appreciate you being here. Since 2013, every single year, there's been a reason. People screaming from the rooftops and on multiple YouTube channels saying, wait, we've got a silver tsunami. We've got interest rates too high in 2018. We've got a pandemic, an eviction moratorium, high interest rates now, like all these reasons why it's always going to be better. So let's go right off the verbatim for your question. If you wait 6 months, you're going to miss winter. Like every deal of mine, except for one, I close between November and February because there's less competition in the winter. So I wouldn't be waiting. I would be looking every day to find a great deal. If you find it tomorrow, awesome. If you find it in 6 months, awesome. But at least for those 6 months that you missed, there were no deals that you missed because you were looking every day. Michael Zuber from One Rental at a Time talks about do the work every day, 15, 20 minutes, hunt and look for deals, because you need to know what area average rents are. You need to know what's going on currently with rates, and then factor in price. And the idea, or the hopium, you don't want to get caught living on hopium, that prices will come down in 6 months or a year or 3 years has been there for a decade. And yeah, we might come down month over month. In the winter, prices do tend to come down because there's less competition, but we're nowhere near coming down year over year.
I'm going to say, if I may interject, that I've been in real estate, like I said, since about 1995. People have been calling for the market to go down ever since then. That has never stopped ever since I started. People were talking back then about prices need to come down. They're too high. It's going to go down. Meanwhile, in my area, the house I bought for $125,000 is now worth about $1.2 million. For example. Now, again, if you're buying for long term, I think it's again, just it makes more sense to focus on finding something that's going to make sense for you today, regardless of what happens tomorrow. And even if you don't buy right now, I'm not saying buy right now or don't, only but I would say you can do the work at any time. You can use this time to learn the market, so you'll know how to spot a great deal when it comes along.
What I really like there, and you could tell that we watch one rental at a time. Hello, Matt. Howdy.
Hey, buddy.
Hey,
Beth.
Lumberjack.
How you doing?
Good.
I saw you were on, and I
Cal.
said, Sammy was cracking up, Dion, when you said something about Mike one rental at a time. He goes, Dion's being so funny right now.
And of course, this is the one time that Zuber's here watching. And I'm like, yeah, I don't want to say this because the guy's a machine. Gets up at like 4 or 5 in the morning and reads through 20 different articles to give the information that helps an investor. Like, I'm super glad that Mike does that because I'm way too lazy.
I
to do
respect that because
yeah,
I would like to think that I would be like that too in retirement. Who knows?
nope,
Yeah.
not me. Nope.
I gotta have stuff to
nap
do.
time and gaming
Yeah.
time and walking
Hey,
time.
nap time. Yes, I'm with you on the nap time.
I'm missing out this nap thing.
Nap
Before we
time,
jump
yes.
into saying hello to
Yeah.
Lumberjack Landlord, thank you for hanging out with us, Matt. Let me get to this chat from Laura Semeniego, who sent a $10 super chat. I appreciate that. Laura says, I am forever grateful for keeping drilling how powerful house hacking is. It only took me hearing you talk about it for 18 months before I finally decided to try it. It has been a month already. That's awesome.
Awesome.
And we met when I was in Florida, and Laura actually had a very well used, which is great because like marked up with highlights and everything, copy of one rental at a time.
Awesome.
Literally pays to do the work. Like that's where all this comes from. Sure I'm not missing another question there from Pat. I am trying to get better at getting the order of questions and super chats and everything down. I don't have a 10-year-old to edit all this for me. Mad76 jumps in with a super chat, and I'm hoping there's a question in here. I'm going to read the whole thing. I talked to a mortgage agent, and he told me for financing a house, a hacking quadplex, the lender will consider either my income or the property income, not combination of both. This is the market standard. So I have an answer to that's different than Matt, so I'll let you go first, Matt.
Shop for a different lender. I would be
right. Lender shopping is good.
Lender shop. This is the biggest mistake newbies make. Biggest mistake by far is not shopping for lenders. When you meet, and realtors, when you meet a Beth Traverso and you meet 9 other people, Beth stands out. I know it because I deal with realtors all the time. Beth stands out. I know that there's 9 idiots and then there's Beth who's elite, and I can tell the difference. It's the same thing with lenders and loan officers. It's exactly the same thing. You've got to put the time in. As much time as you're spending shopping for the house, you need to be spending that much time finding a loan officer that understands all the criteria, understands exactly what you're trying to accomplish, understands the pitfalls and challenges that you're going to go into, because the elite ones do. What I found is Matt, the mortgage guy, he is networked well with people that really understand those things. And if there's ever a misunderstanding or if there's ever a gap there, you can go back to Matt and have him have that conversation. And then he can jump on a call. Honestly, people do not understand. So Bill Belichick, Patriots football coach, he looks at it and he says, offense, defense, and special teams, they're all equally important. But most teams only spend a majority of their time on offense and defense. He recognizes that special teams is just as much a part of the game. It's just as much a part of the game buying a house as it is shopping, finding the right agent, and finding the right lending officer.
I agree with finding the right lender. So critical. Do not go with just the cheapest one. A lot of the big banks are not good.
Oh, they're awful.
And your network, if you find somebody in your network that is killing it or a really great agent, they're going to have their elite team of lenders that they can recommend to you. So I would go off of people that do this, that have somebody really great. They will have recommendations for that.
So kind of to play off of Matt's answer of lender shopping and Beth saying have your network, there are 4 things that come into play when you're getting lending on a house hack or on a rental. Before you have rental income on your tax returns, some lenders won't look at rents at all. So they don't want you to scale too quick. So for those first 2 years until you have rental income on your tax returns, they might only look at your income. You found a lender that will look at the property or you. So make sure that they're talking about the same type of lending. If they're doing asset-based lending, it can't be a house hack and your rate's going to be worse and a bunch of other things happen. Also, there's another tier of lending requirements that might come in where they say, sure, we'll look at you, we'll look at the rents, but we also want to make sure there's at least 3 months remaining on your existing leases, which kind of takes out month-to-month tenants. You have to lender shop until you find the one that makes the most sense to you. If you found one that was only going to use the rental income from the property, but had the best rates, and you found the property that would qualify, that's the one I'd go with. But treat lenders like you do contractors. If we'll talk to 3 contractors for a $5,000 deck project, it always kills me when people talk to one lender for several $100,000 for a 30-year commitment.
Right.
So
look at the sustainable. If they can answer the question and understand the sustainability metric for a multifamily at 5% down, find the next lender.
and there's a couple people commenting towards the bottom there. If you lose power because of the hurricane, be safe. I have friends in Florida. I told them to get on the boat and take it out. That's what worked for Forrest. I don't think they listened. So I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing any questions here. Nicholas Massey, howdy. I know you don't leverage your houses. Yeah, I do. I know you don't. Oh, don't read like take out capital. Okay.
Relever, yes.
But if you leverage your paid off single family house, how much would you leave in the house relative to it still cash flowing? So for me, since that's specific to me, I would go no higher than 50% LTV unless I had a really good deal that needed the money because I could see the best interest rate. And then I would look at the cash flow too to make sure it was still a good return.
What's really interesting is to that point, Dion, I have multiple banks and some of them don't care if it's a 50% mortgage or a 70% mortgage, it's the same rate. So that's another thing that people really need to ask.
Yep.
Throwing it out there.
Strider, howdy. I'm 53 and trying to get there, but getting that duplex is the financing. Any advice? I do hate my job. Is there a job you could do that you wouldn't hate? Doesn't take retiring to get out of a job you hate. That's one route. There are things that you can be doing now that make it easier to get that first duplex. And the first like 3 or 4 steps of getting into real estate really have nothing to do with actually closing on deals. Save, which means increase your income, decrease your expenses, work on your credit score, talk to a lender like Matt and Beth are both saying, lender shop until you find the ones that actually work the best with you, maybe develop relationships with them too. But the first 5 years seem to take forever, especially when you don't have that first deal yet. Any advice, Beth, for somebody just starting out to get their first place?
Well, I would say, again, with the network, I think that's a good place to start, finding your team. And I find there's a lot of people out there, like the people on this call, who are happy to help. When I get a newbie reaching out to me, I like that when somebody who's trying to learn and taking action. And so I would say learn your market, build your team, get your credit in order, learn the financing, the list goes on, but those are the good basics to get started with, so you'll know how to spot a good one when you find it and get ready. So you'll be ready to take action when you do, and then get your team. We all have our network. When something comes along that's outside of my scope of expertise, I'm more than happy to bring somebody in who's better to see what they have to say. That's something that never stops. So, find your tribe of people who are going to support you in what you're doing. And then also filter out the ones that maybe aren't going to be supportive too. I think that's important also. Or learn how to put them in a different, how to keep it separate. So
we were talking about that at lunch the other day.
I don't think you necessarily need to exclude people out of your life. you just learn where what their role is. This person's role is not to help me with my rental investing career. This person's role is for something else that's valuable in my life, So, so yeah, you just need to kind of audit your circle and your network and what you allow into your space and your brain to make sure everything's aligned.
Question from ASM Triple R. Hello, do either of you have any advice for finding a CPA? And I just followed advice from Matt. So Matt, do you have any advice on finding a CPA?
Look for an EA, an enrolled agent. CPAs are licensed per state. EAs are licensed by the federal government, and they have to test every year the IRS rules. So when there's a rule change, they only need to know it. They need to be able to test out and prove that they know it. So I actually wasn't aware of EAs until a couple of years ago. And when I started reading more and more, I was like, that's the ninja guy that I need. And then I started shopping for EAs, and they're pretty hard to find because it's a pretty big requirement on an annualized basis. Like, you need a king nerd, not just a nerd. And so the EAs are awesome. And so I have Bob Langworthy, who was actually on Mike's channel, did a deep dive last week. I heart Bob. I'm a huge, huge fan. I literally pay for his time just to hear him talk because he's brilliant. So EA, enrolled agent, that's what I'd be looking for.
Yeah, I'll have to check and see if mine is. I think he probably is. I know he has a master's in taxation and can represent you in front of the IRS for the, I don't know, but
He's probably an EA.
Probably,
that's
because I know he is. I had somebody before who was okay, but then I brought to him and it was like mind blowing, the difference and the way he was able to save so much money. He went back and looked at my old returns. Like, I can't believe that this was allowed to happen like this. And I'm like, oh no, what did I do? I don't know the first thing about that stuff. So, and he's a tax strategist too. Like, you need to find somebody who's going to be a strategist, not somebody who's just going to file the paperwork and just,
100%.
okay, I'm adding it up and now I'm submitting it. Like, no, you need somebody who's going to be thinking 2-3 steps ahead.
That's right.
You need to be doing these things now to save you money later. Or, me being self-employed and real estate and all this other stuff. It's not an easy file, so you need to have somebody who's going to be really savvy to that, somebody who understands real estate and understands the tax savings. And are they inexpensive? No, they're expensive, but you know what? I don't care. I'll pay whatever he says he needs. That's what he gets.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say maybe actually look for Bob Langworthy. I mean, I just had my first consult with him today too. Or was that today? I don't know.
Yeah,
Awesome,
right?
Together. Yeah, it was great. I learned enough to do a short layman's video on a couple of things.
He's awesome.
And then maybe have him come on to tell me all the things I got wrong.
King nerd. I love it. That's I'm going to use that one.
Howdy, Tyrone. What's your opinion about escrowing your property taxes and insurance, or just paying them when it's due? What do you guys do? Beth?
I do both. So most of them that are financed through regular mortgages, I just have that rolled into the payment because it's one less thing to think about. I may not be as lazy as you, Dion, but I like to be lazy about as many things as I can and delegate as much as I can. And if I can have the mortgage company take care of it, that's fine. But some of them don't. That's like the seller financed ones or the privately financed ones aren't going to do that. So, but taxes are expensive, and I don't want to get caught with owing huge bills when they become due. In our area, it's the end of April and the end of October when the different halves are due. And it's a big chunk of money when you're talking about a bunch of properties. So what I did to keep things is I like to automate processes whenever humanly possible. I automate the process. So I just went through and changed it because I think taxes go up, and I bought a couple more properties. And so what I did is I set it up to automatically deposit into a savings account. I call it property tax savings account. Every month, I just plunk it right in. It just automatically transfers into that account so that when it comes time to write the check, I got it all right there. Somebody else might have a better system, but that works for me. It's pretty simple and idiot proof, So I just look at it maybe once or twice a year and see if I need to change anything about how much goes in there. And then I just pay it online when it comes up.
Mine's very similar to yours, just a little bit more lazy. Always automated. So if it's escrowed, the mortgage is taking care of it. The paid off property is also automated. The county bills twice a year, so April and October. The money will just go. My homeowner's insurance for that property is just automatically paid every month. But I only have one checking account. So I would never think about transferring or moving or whatever. That checking account handles everything that goes out. So I don't ever think about it, but then keep a large amount in there so that I'm never thinking, never be in the position of waiting for a rent check to come in for an expense to go out. Have 2 or 3 times all of the possible bills that can happen in that account. Sleep like a baby.
Or go to Bali like a baby.
Right. ASM thank you for that. I appreciate that. And thank you for the great advice. Both of these people have been doing this over 20 years. They probably have the best CPA advice. I've been super lazy. I was using the CPA from our truck driving school who doesn't watch my content. So he doesn't know he's about to lose a customer. But I'm reaching out to an actual real estate professional now that I'm possibly going to do cost segregation, possibly going to qualify as real estate professional, like all these weird things that are going to change in my taxes that a regular tax person might not be like a specialist at.
I have a cost seg guy coming on Thursday.
Nice.
It's going to be awesome.
That's something
and
I
then
need
to
do. Cost seg.
It's the
All right,
best.
it's on my radar, and for some reason, see, I'm still learning. After all this
Sure.
time, for some reason, I thought you had to be buying big time commercial to do that, and I did not realize until recently that you do not.
Don't.
So I'll be making a video talking about cost segregation too, like from the layman's viewpoint that so many people like to make it sound confusing and make it sound like you need this big study. There's literally a website. It's like, I have it written down somewhere, costsegregation.com or something. That's not it, but it's something like that simple for like $500.
Oh.
It looks at your property, and we all think we can amortize over 27.5 years, but some things are amortized over 15 and some things are amortized over 5. That 15 and 5 is what the study finds. And then you can get up to 25% of your depreciation all at once. And the really negative impact is that for the rest of the duration of that property, it's only 75% of the value over that 27.5 years. Literally, it took me less than a minute to understand how that works, but I've watched hours of videos and nobody ever broke it down and told me exactly what it did.
So DIY cost seg is going to be on the channel on Thursday. Is that
That's it?
probably
That's the
site?
website.
Yeah.
So
it
affiliate
literally
link while you're there, since I'm talking about them.
It literally took me 20 minutes to do my cost seg on one was a $1.3 million property. One was like a $400,000 property. And their site is awesome. And that's why I wanted to have them on, was because I used it. I loved it. And it wasn't about somebody having to go out and be there and walk the property and then put together a report and then take a bunch of measurements. It was very much something that you could put together from the property tax card. And from a lot of times a property listing sheet. If a
When's that going to be on your channel?
Thursday.
I'll see if I have any kind of service where I'm at. I'm in the middle of the dunes, which somebody asked. I saw it. I'm not coming to California. I'm going to Oregon, to Florence, to the dunes there.
Nice.
Tom, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Matt, the mortgage guy's company's name.
You mortgage.
What is it?
You mortgage.
You like YOU?
Like you.
Oh, just you mortgage.
And if you just look him up, Matt, the mortgage guy, it will actually take you right to his site.
That's what I've done. And while he handles local to his area, his network is nationwide. So I reached out to him. He connected me with somebody local here, which brings me to this question. What types of financing do you use? From Lauren. Howdy. What types of financing do you use, Matt?
Private, bank, HELOC, commercial, residential, a product that I had a bank make for me. Pretty much anybody that's willing to, bank wise, that's willing to give me money, or a person from that's actually owner, that's like owner financing, whatever it takes to put a deal together. And that's where I missed out on rounding out my game faster in my investing career by far.
Well, so that was
all that stuff's in the last 2 or 3 years.
That was one of the things I was going to point out, and why I asked you first is you're going to have like every possible ability, pretty much any way you can put a deal together.
Yes.
year 22 doesn't look like year 1.
Nothing.
Year
But
1 looks like I'm risky for the lenders. So they're going to look at my income. They're going to look at my work history. They're going to look at my credit score. They might not even consider rents yet. So, Beth, what type of lending do you use?
Yeah. So, I mean, when I started out, I just did owner occupied financing, just the vanilla conventional. And when you're starting out, that's really what usually makes the most sense for most people. You'll get the best rates, lower down, all kinds of things are going to be better for that. And that was for house hack, and then as time moved on, I stayed in the conventional realm for a long time, just doing non-owner occupied loans. And back in the days of risky loan products, I partook in a few of those. I'm not too proud to say, but I survived. Learned, I won't be doing that ever again. But lately, what I have now is kind of a mix of conventional financing and as well as some seller financed loans and private money loans. So I've got a mix of those. I've maxed out the 10 conventional loans. So now I need to get more creative, which that's always the name of the game, is just thinking of different ways to make it work. Not like, well, I guess I'm done now, unless you want to be done. But if you don't want to be done, then you got to think about other ways to do it, and like the lumberjack was saying, he had a bank created a loan product just for him. And you gave me some pointers on that before, and I tucked those away in my pocket, and I may.
there is a video on my channel about it. It's got the whole slide deck.
Yeah.
And again, you can't be small and bring that to a bank, but if you've already hit your 10, you can absolutely present that to any bank and somebody will listen.
The question is, do you need to move all your loans to that bank? And because most of them are at a low rate right now. I'm stuck in that
100%
trap, if you will, that wonderful trap of the low interest rate. So the golden cage, or whatever you want to call it.
So Lauren, if you want more detail on my channel, there's a video called how to get the best interest rates. But here's the order of operations for lending for me when just starting out. As much as they suck, I go to the large banks first: Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, because they have the most standardized criteria. So almost anything that they tell you, the other lenders can do better than, right? Because that's kind of the worst lending. Then I go to Guild Mortgage, Fairway Mortgage. So the mortgage companies, that's what they focus on and all they do. You can also check local credit unions, but I had never had good luck with that. But other people, like I have a deal deep delve on my channel with Kevin and Britt. That's going to suck that I got the name wrong. Where they got a 5% down on a duplex with a local credit union. So you go around, and the thing that works the best is to get their offers in writing, even if it's just an email form. This is what our loan buy down rate would be. This is what your percentage would be. And then show in writing to all the other lenders, because lenders can't go to their boss and say, I really like Lauren, I just want to give her a better rate. But if you show them in writing what a competitor will do, they can go to their boss and say, this is what we need to beat to keep the business. And that gives you more negotiating power. So there's a more detailed video called How to Get the Best Interest Rates on here. And then I want to get to this last question that just came up, because I want to see what your guys' opinions is, from Ryan. Howdy, Ryan. Isn't using a home equity line of credit as a down payment the same as financing a property for 0% down? I'm having trouble finding deals in my area that work as such. I have a thought, but I want to wait and see what Matt. Oh, let's start with Beth, because you're probably got to take off. You said 15 minutes, so we'll make this your last question, unless you.
Well, I mean, I've used that where I've pulled money from a HELOC for a down payment, but in those cases, it was more like for a BRRRR or something like that. And I'm not doing BRRRR right now, but I've used it for temporary money. I don't like to use it for a more permanent solution, because it's variable interest rate, messes up your credit sometimes if you're over leveraged. I pulled a bunch of money out for a BRRRR once, and it went to, I think, like 95% credit utilization on that line. And I saw my credit dip quite more than I thought it would. I didn't realize how much of a hit it would make, but then I refied out of it, paid it back, that finished up that BRRRR. But I think it's a little risky, especially if it's your primary residence that you're putting on the line. And you got to be ready to float that if, you got to be able to handle vacancies and things like that. Just make sure you're not over leveraged would be the zero down on anything. You got to be really, really careful on your numbers. Make sure you're not upside down on that.
Being really careful on your numbers. Here's the two things that make it not like buying zero down. You're adding debt to your existing asset. So that's going to impact the cash flow or your expenses where you live, or if that's a house hack, what you're making. So it's the first kind of negative. If that factors into the deal that you're purchasing and still gets the return you're getting, I'm okay with that.
Yep. Second,
HELOCs are adjustable rate. They're not long-term debt. And even if they're fixed for 10 years in some cases, it's still adjustable. It impacts your debt to income ratio, even if you don't use all of the money. So if you can borrow 100,000, but you don't have any of it taken out, lenders will look at 1% of that in your debt to income ratio, because about a 1% payment every month, $1,000 is what it would be, because you could take that money out. HELOCs are the first thing to go away when lenders get scared. There was a couple of other things that make it risky. So is this your first or second deal, or your 5th to 10th deal? Because in your first 2 or 3, 1, 2, 3 deals, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. I wouldn't put your retirement account or your house at risk in your first couple of deals. If you've got the basics down and you have confidence in your ability to get the return you're looking for, and you're on your 4th, 5th, or 6th deal, a little more likely. So there's like a lot of nuances to it. It's definitely not like doing a zero down on the property, because it's you're doing adjustable rate, adding the debt, like a bunch of other things that could impact it too.
yes.
And Beth, you did say 15 minutes. I'm being respectful of your time. Anytime you want to dip out, I thank you so much
I'm
for
gonna bow out.
hanging out with
Thank
us.
you, gentlemen. It's a
I'll see you
pleasure.
next week at the waterfall.
You too. Yeah. Good to catch up with you guys.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
All Nighter Hider talks about that the lender is essentially a business partner. Need to pick a good one. And remember that we date our agents and our lenders. We marry the property. Then I see that she has taken off. It's so weird on this live stream. Let me see here. When will the retired guy from Tom Kine, howdy, when will the retired guy look to find properties at a distance? I like the negotiation power of having my properties close together. So if I ever decide to go property manager, I'm going to get the best rates. I might snowbird looking at Vegas with Matt, not being too far from him. Probably not in the $700 to $1 million range, more like the $300,000 to $500,000 range.
Bro, I'm going to buy one with an ADU.
Oh, there you go.
Got you written all over it.
Well, there you go. Right.
Kids, go say hi to Uncle Dion.
Exactly.
His 3 kids became really productive in life. Your turn. Let's go. Uncle Dion.
I have one kid right now who's backpacking Europe.
That's awesome.
So she looks like she's having a
I
blast.
did my version of that. It was rough. So it wasn't good. We went during a French train strike. It's the worst.
Nice.
It's horrible. French train strike.
Sam Fargo. Howdy. I think you won the shirt on Lumberjack channel.
Look at you, Dion.
Are mortgage brokers worth the shot to shop the best interest rates, or for you just to waste, or just a waste of time and actually add a commission to the interest rate cost? Matt.
You gotta shop. It's a phase of the game. Agent, lending officer, doing the homework on looking at properties. It's 3 phases of the game. You got to do it. And you're only as strong as your weakest link. I've seen loan officers blow up deals. I've seen agents blow up deals. So when you finally get locked in on that property, you want to have this person blow you away with their knowledge. And a lot of that can come from having an elite real estate agent. I know who the elite lenders are around me. I know exactly who they are. And there's banks that you could not pay me to do business with because their loan officers are garbage. and I won't name them.
So I look at lenders like I look at contractors,
Mhm.
and I look at lenders like I look at insurance agents. I'll use a what do you call it? The contractor with all the subs,
A GC.
a GC, right?
GC.
If he's got the best price.
That's right.
If he can beat my electric panel replacement, he's going to get the business. But if I contact an electrician and they've got the better price, they're going to get it. Same thing with insurance. I call all the major ones that we can use and a couple of insurance brokers, and I figure out who's got the best price for the best coverage.
Yep.
Lenders are the same. We're looking at rates, but buy down the interest rate, your cost and fees that put in there, compare everything apples to apples as much as possible. So I talk to brokers and I talk to institutions.
Absolutely.
So this is a question that I'm going to give to you, Matt. Ready?
Okay. I'm ready.
This is from Mandy W. Howdy,
Okay.
Mandy. What is the best part of being retired so far? Go ahead.
Appropriate. It's wonderful.
It's wonderful.
It's wonderful. I'm so happy that Dion's got more time on his hands. It's awesome. I mean, the really good thing is I feel like I've been on vacation 3 times in the last 4 months, and it's all thanks to Dion. So it's been kind of nice. But
To be fair, I was
yeah.
on vacation like 3 times before I quit my job too.
No, I couldn't, they were all mixed, so I couldn't really tell. So what is the best part of being retired? Because I'm looking at it for sure, of course, like it's not that far away from me. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, I'm already in the place where you are, which is how did I ever have enough time to work? Like I used to put all my time into my day job. Like they got 70, 80 hours a week from me. They don't get that anymore. They get my 40. That's it. What they pay
Quiet
for.
quitter.
Yeah. Yes.
So to try to answer that, Mandy, it's not one thing. And it's the best thing about it is what I equate it to. Imagine if you won the lottery, right? Tomorrow, what would you do? You might work, you might not work, you might quit in an epic fashion. You might travel, you might spend time with friends and family. Some of the drawbacks are friends and family are still working sometimes. Even in Siberia, they're still working. Can't even go visit them. But so you're imagining you won the lottery, right? 70% of people who win the lottery are broke within 5 years.
Yeah.
So I don't have that fear. Since it was self-made, self-built, it's easier to imagine perpetual income.
Words are hard.
And it's repeatable. So if it did all go away, it would be easy to reproduce. I think that's the best part, is it feels like winning the lottery, but better.
Yeah.
And that I don't think dawned on me until I actually quit the job, when I sat back and I had my first month where I was like, okay, I have no income coming in from selling my life 1 hour at a time. And I saved almost twice what I usually made in most of the jobs in my life. Like after cruise, stayed in Beth's cabin and rented Sea-Doos and did all that kind of stuff on that side of the mountain. There's a couple of other things that were not cheap, but still saved twice what I used to make when I had a job. And that's every day forever.
Didn't you do that ride too? I don't know if you did release that video. I didn't get a chance to look at it yet. Did
Which
you do a
one?
ride? Was an airplane?
Oh, no, that's coming up. So yeah, video coming soon, but not today.
Dion in
People
his
saying thank you to Beth.
G6.
That's awesome. Go ahead, Matt.
Dion in his G6 or Cessna.
Hey, my brother's got an ultralight. I should go do some videos in that.
Dude, you should. You
It's just
absolutely
loud
should.
because
Yeah,
it's one of the fan in front.
Yeah.
Propeller, whatever. The first time he took me to show me, he was like, "Here, record this." He was just doing takeoff and lands
Yeah.
into a tree.
Oh,
Talk about confidence building.
exactly.
So yeah, Michelle Meyer said, please talk about the membership. And I touched on it a little bit earlier. I think I might have covered that for you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do my version of a course without having to make a course, so that I don't have to charge $200 to $600 to just get to break even on making the course. If we could do that here on YouTube, it'll be through memberships, private membership, video, and it's going to be chronologically set up. Like, here is how I would get into investing, how I would do it all the way through, without all of the deal deep dives, without all of the live streams, literally just like instruction manual what do you call it? Playlist.
Yeah.
And then the member only live streams. And I think there won't be that many members, so it'll be a lot more one-on-one-ish.
Sure.
You know?
In the beginning, for sure. Yeah, we're kind of seeing the same thing in our course. We're taking a little bit of different path, but it's going to be weekly mentoring will be part of it. That way it's kind of 12 weeks, I think is what the sessions are that we're going to do, 12 weeks of kind of mentoring through with everybody on the call, iron sharpening iron. Active.
And then another comment from Michelle, same person. Biggest fear is to not be healthy to continue to do what I enjoy, which is what makes retiring early that much more important.
For sure. For sure.
My brother has been retired now for 8 years, and I just look at what he's done in the last 8 years, and I hope to do a third of what he was doing in the next 8 years. He's had a great retirement by not waiting until he was 65, like we're supposed to, by the norm.
Sure.
Yuri, Hono, howdy. Thanks for hanging out with us. I appreciate it. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing any questions here. And then I think I have Sebastian did an actual member chat. So memberships exist.
Oh, cool.
And he's got the first tier. That's pretty cool. I'm learning how all this works because, again, neither one of us have a 10-year-old to edit and do all this stuff for us.
It's true. I have no idea how the YouTube thing works for membership.
And then Millennial Mike sent a super chat, 420 friendly. I appreciate that as a state trooper coming into me. I appreciate that. And he says, every time you hit the like button, someone retires before Matt. Thank you for that, Mike. I appreciate it.
He's just mad because I told him he was 8 years away from retirement.
Oh, he better not be.
Yeah, he said 3, and I go, "You're high."
At the age of his kid, I think 3 to 5 is his perfect frame. It's kind of like you. I think if you waited another 5 years, you will forever regret what you missed.
Oh yeah, no way.
So I don't really, I wouldn't have the same. I don't really regret missing when my kids were young because I wasn't on the path to financial freedom. I wasn't FI. You're like beyond FI. Yeah. And then if you continue working, that's what I would regret.
Agreed. Yeah, 100%. Totally agree.
I'll have to figure out what to send you after you retire, because Pink Panther won't make any sense anymore.
You know what makes sense? A video of a dad, like I did it tonight. My 3 kids tackled me. I'm sore. And they're 4, 3, and 18 months. I'm sore. They took me out to the woodshed. I'm old.
Nice. Yeah, my son was in wrestling and my daughters were in gymnastics, and I goofed off with both and realized, I'm not 15 doing this with them.
Yes. Yeah. Sam, I call him Sammy with the suplex. Like, dude, stop doing that. You're gonna tell me you're gonna just drop on me.
Our neighbors had to think we were trying to kill each other when my son was in wrestling.
Oh, I can only imagine.
He's also a gym rat. So
yeah,
there's that.
Yeah, there's that. That's a problem.
Trying to figure out if I'm missing any questions here. Okay, I think I've covered those. All-nighter hider. Question: are there techniques to get financing for a vacant lot, or is a structure required by lenders? So vacant land buying. There's actually good Facebook groups on land investing. I'm in them. I don't do it, but they've usually got really good comments and discussions.
I've done it. It's hard. It's hard. For the banks that I work with, they don't have any interest in land. They want to see a plan like for building in the next year. And if they do, the most they're going to write is 50% of the purchase of the land. So there's other guys out there that are like legit land guys that buy like 200 acres and then sell foresting rights and mineral rights and all this other crazy stuff. So there's absolutely a way to do it. It's just, it's a different game than what we do.
Michael Smith, you're not too late, and you don't have to be a member, and you don't have to super chat. I'm going to do the giveaway. Good luck on chats before we're done. Justin, howdy. Had a brand new G6 pull up at my airport yesterday. It was massive. It's kind of mind-boggling how much they cost. Yeah. I was like, I was looking at boats the other day, and I've seen some boats for sale for 50,000, 80,000, and they're old. They need some work. I'm like, I could do that. I went and looked at boats, and there was nothing under 600,000.
Yeah.
I was like, no.
Yeah, I think I want to say a G6 right now is something like 65 million, I think, or 60 million. It's something big.
Wombat Striker, howdy. Would you be concerned about trusting a tenant to add salt to your water softener if you have well water at the property? I don't think it would ruin anything, but cleanup would suck. City water is available at the property, but I would have to pay to have it hooked up.
I wouldn't go city water if you have a well.
I love my well.
No,
It quit this weekend and it got me a $600 a month raise.
Yeah, I honestly
explain how that worked, but
city water and sewer has been the biggest under the radar raise in expenses that I've ever seen before. The pricing has almost doubled in 5 years. And big surprise, I have houses that have wells too. The only thing you need to do with a well is every 2-3 years, I have the water tested, make sure that we're all still good. But they have water softening systems, osmosis cleaning systems. They have all sorts of that stuff. And for a pretty good filter, pretty good filter setup, you're talking $4,000 to $5,000, which blows the doors off of the fact that any of my duplexes are probably $300 to $400 at least a quarter. So I'm spending $2,000 a year on water. It's nowhere near that for my well.
right. I love septic. I love wells. I don't want to be on city water and sewer. All of the problems I've ever had have been from city water and sewer, and any problem that there's ever with the water system, the city somehow still puts that on me. Where, and I know you're probably supposed to, I've had them inspected and nothing needs to be done, but I have a one system that was pumped once since 1992.
Wow.
Like, and it's a full family house. Like, or I could have city and be paying $100 to $200 a month per unit.
Yeah. This is
Like
exactly right.
that adds up over a couple of decades.
That it's huge. I mean, I did the math, and for a lot of our properties, if we had a well with a septic system, after about 10-12 years, they're paid off. And then it's just, if you just properly maintain them, you can get, I had one septic system that I got 43 years out of, 45 years out of, 45 years out of one septic system. Even if they just did the normal $100 a month, it just, you're $1,200 a year. It would have been $54,000 in fees to the sewer company, water and sewer company for that. And it was $8,000 to put it in, and it was $14,000 to redo it. So less than half.
So Sebastian, a group member, asks both of us, have you ever acquired a property using subject to?
No.
No. I tried to give one away using subject to, but was underwater and couldn't even do that.
And thank God you didn't.
Yeah, that ends up being, I want to say the best. It's in the top 7 of the properties that I own, but it's a great deal now. I'm glad I didn't lose it.
Yeah.
And then Sam says your super chat has a COP currency instead of money. I don't know. I looked through, it doesn't show, it didn't pop up.
Interesting.
So YouTube's been having problems. I was actually watching your live stream, Matt, on Real Estate Mindset.
Yes.
Which actually I thought started really great. He wasn't attacky or anything.
No, he's good.
And I wanted to ask a question and it wouldn't let me super chat. I tried like 3 different times and it kept saying error, error, error. And I was like, okay, so that's what, because we were getting some messages like that in ours too, that there's an error of it.
I wonder if it's a stream, if it had anything to do with StreamYard, because he uses StreamYard. He doesn't use YouTube.
Might be. Yeah.
So that might be a StreamYard thing. Could be. Don't know.
Ryan Allen, howdy. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. Strategies for finding great deals in a scarce market. What would be your strategies, Matt, in a scarce market?
I think in a scarce market where listings are hard to come by, it's really all hands on deck. And so I network with wholesalers, I network with agents and say, listen, before you bring something to market, you have the chance to get both sides of the deal. Let me look at it. Let me take a peek and see if it's something that I want. And if so, I'll use you as the broker because you brought me the deal. And hey, instead of getting 3% or 2.5%, you're going to get 5%. So that's what I pitch. And because it's about their money, and say, you don't have to do a bunch of open houses. You don't have to have a bunch of weird negotiations. Let me just walk it. And if we can come up with a number that they're happy with, awesome. And if they don't like it, that's okay too. So wholesalers, I'd be looking at wholesalers in my area. I would be talking to as many agents as you possibly can talk to. And then if you really want to start going next level, then you start doing, things like prop stream and things like that, trying to market to those people. That's kind of the next level. But networking is by far the most important. I didn't get my first off-market deal until I was doing this for 14 years. And that's a mistake on my part. I screwed that up. I should have.
So if you're in a scarce market, I'm thinking scarce meaning there's just not a lot of deals to choose from. How are you searching? Is it just MLS? If it's Redfin and Zillow, I think you're making a huge mistake. Almost every deal that I've ever seen on them, it was dated, already closed by the time it showed up pending. Multiple agents searching on the MLS, unless you're in a really small town, it might not take that many. I'm super lazy. All of my deals are from the MLS, just hunting through deals long enough to find them. But there's a couple of strategies. People use mailers. People check county tax records. You can use skip tracers to find out out-of-state investors who've owned it longer than a certain period of time. So they probably have equity, tax delinquencies. I support things like contacting people who have rentals available to see if they're interested in selling. And if not that one, maybe one of their other ones. I don't support going to county divorce records and county death certificates. Those are strategies that people use. I wouldn't do that, but some people have. Finding somebody who probably needs to sell. Like there's a lot of different strategies that you can find to find more deals. I really like Christian and Cody multifamily. It's Christian and Cody multifamily strategies here on YouTube. Mm-hmm. They get to know owners without the intent of buying from them. They're young and they go, look, you've been doing this a long time. I'd like to get into real estate. How can I learn from you? And they kind of develop that. And then out of the several people that they get to know that way, at some point, it makes sense that one of them is selling and they could buy from them. Almost all their deals in the first 100+ units that they did were seller financing, no loans, probably no money down on a lot of the deals. Mm-hmm. They have got some great strategies to look to branch out and find deals different ways. Let's see where I was at here. Derek. It's a good question. Derek sends a super chat, which I appreciate. Let me see if I can find it here. All my properties are in Florida, hopefully not in Ian's path. Looking in Georgia now, can they all be in the same LLC? So the technical answer is yes, because LLCs are just an entity that represent you if you're a sole proprietor. The question would be, do you want them in an LLC? You're going to add no tax benefits, no asset protection, a lot of lending issues. If you have partners or you need to use hard money, I totally understand there's reasons to have an LLC, a LLC. But when it comes to that kind of structure, all of your LLCs are just you. So there's no real asset protection there that people expect there to be. Putting them all in one LLC also eliminates that. I mean, you put in a lot of problems like insurance can cost more, your lending is worse. How do you pay yourself? How do you not commingle finances? So if you have a lot of properties and you're looking to expand, maybe talk to an attorney for structure. It should be a pretty cheap consultation to say what's the best structure to do in 2 different states. The truck driving school that I was in is in multiple states, all under one LLC. So I know one LLC can be in different states and the owners live in a 3rd state. Like there's a lot of ways to look at that. But the question is, why do you have the LLC? And is there a good enough reason? Is it your business needs an LLC because you're using a type of lending that only goes to LLCs? Sure, but you create a lot of problems without getting sometimes the solutions people want. Like there are no tax benefits.
Right.
Sam Farhow, your chat finally came through. So you got off the VPN. I saw that you said you were on VPN. How can I increase my income? And income is not a factor in your credit score. In your 3 credit bureaus, as it seems like they use my previous income. Yeah, so income is not supposed to be a factor in credit score. Very weird that that's not a thing. But it's just not. It's not even reported. It's not used. Unless something's changed in the last year from when I was really studying credit scores, income doesn't impact your credit score. It's things like credit history, payment history, not debt to income. It's loan to value. What is that called? Credit utilization. So
Yes.
what percentage of your credit are you using? So it's one strategy sometimes is to call a credit card company if you have a $10,000 limit and you've been racking up $5,000 a month. That's a 50% credit utilization. If you call them and you say, hey, can we raise my limit to 20,000, but you don't spend any more money, you keep going up to 5,000 every month and paying it off because that's you pay all your bills on there or whatever. Now you have a 25% credit utilization. The goal is to get all of those what do they call them? Revolving credit things below 10%. That can add up to 30 points to your scores. But Matt, unless I'm wrong, income doesn't impact credit score.
No. So what you can do though is if you use their calculators, some people have weird feelings about their calculators, but if you use their calculators, they see what they see what you enter. And so for mine, I actually enter it in, and what it actually does is it shows me that I have good debt utilization. And so I actually, for identity protection, I actually have TransUnion. So it reports anytime my credit even gets a soft hit. I get soft hits, hard hits, I get them all. And then I get to see who the vendor was, all that stuff. So I would recommend for me, because I run my business, I want to make, and my business is in a trust, but it's associated with my EIN. What I would do is I actually do TransUnion for, I think it's $20 a month for credit monitoring. So every single thing comes up. But if you want, you can take the time to look at your credit cards and actually go through their calculators and entering your income. I'd be interested to see if that changes, because all of them have those calculators now, and all of them you can enter in your income. So they're tracking, they're finding a way to look at your income from some level. So something hasn't been updated in those systems. And I actually used to have TransUnion as a client. So. And I
Question from Levi here. Howdy, Levi. Dion, have you seen anyone through truck school do the ultimate house hack? Live in the semi full-time, rent out your property. It's a fun fantasy. The wife and I have been eyeing it. I've got my CDL, so maybe. So absolutely. Saw that several times. The ultimate house hack happened. Sometimes we would have a homeless veterans association here in Washington would pay for the CDL. So a person would literally go from being homeless to living in their truck. So it's the ultimate house hack. But there were people, one of their names was Debbie, and she used to be a radio a radio host, talk show host. And she came to do a story one time, saw what we were doing, realized you could have your dog in the truck with you. So she quit working at the radio, got her CDL, went out to live in the truck, and then Airbnb'd her house when she wasn't home. Killing it, making a ton of money from her because she lives in Seattle. So she's getting, $5,000-6,000 a month for her house while she's gone. And she gets to have her dog with her at work, which she couldn't do at the radio station. So it's a strategy that some people do use. Maybe short-term rental might work for your house. So that way, when you and your wife want to take a break from the road, you literally just block off a month or two at home. You don't go out and make money because you've been making so much money on the short-term rental and driving the truck. Absolutely brilliant strategy. And he's here. Our 420 friendly state trooper.
Don't quote me for that. Hey, by the way, Matt, I did not say every time somebody hits the like button, someone retires before you. My actual comment was just hit the like button and like the video. Dion threw me under the bus.
And you had to do something.
I am mad that it's going to take me a while to retire, but that is not what I said.
It wasn't.
I came in hot from work. Just came in flying.
It gave me no joy to give you that rude awakening.
You know what? But I appreciate it though, because I hadn't thought about it the way you laid it out. You were like, well, you probably want to triple what you're making, especially with how expensive healthcare is going to be. And And I was like, yeah, as much as it sucks to say, I think you're right. I think, yeah, it's going to be more than I anticipated.
At this point, I'm willing to concede. It's probably not your 3. It's probably not my 10, but now I just have to be closer than you. So that makes it 6.5.
What, in keeping with Dion's theme, what's the thing I fear about retiring most?
Running out of money.
When I retire, aside from being bored and not doing anything, it's that I retired too early and I wasn't ready. Exactly. I've seen Mark Maskey Finance struggle a little bit when he first retired, and it was tight there for a little while, and then he sort of built from there, and he's gotten it taken care of. But yeah, my biggest fear is miscalculating.
I could have sworn, Mike, you would have said your biggest fear of retiring early was you had had enough free time to date somebody enough to get married. And that's terrifying.
Marriage? I don't know about that.
See,
I don't know.
Look at the fear level just go up. You can't even look at the camera.
Yeah, I can't be afraid of something I don't believe in. Santa Claus doesn't scare me.
And then Zuber is still online at this time of night. He said 3 rock stars giving back, so I threw him an invite. So who knows?
Yeah.
Come on over, Mike. Forms a crowd. REI Avengers.
Here's a great question I don't know the answer to. So to make a video on this, I would have to do some research, but I actually want to know what our opinions are. So this might not be the solution unless you guys have an answer. This was just going to be my opinion. This is from Michael Smith. Howdy. What would you do or be responsible for if you found out your rental was in a city with toxic water like Flint, Jackson, Mississippi, or Chicago? And perfect time for Zoom
here
when a real question pops up.
Time to put him on the spot.
He doesn't know what you would do with toxic water because California has amazing water.
Because it comes from Arizona.
Colorado.
Okay. For now, aren't they supposed to stop that now?
Yeah, it could. Yeah. I actually read that question. Matt, you're the smart one. Aren't you supposed to take the hard questions?
I'm ready to take the hard question. In all honesty, what I would do is if it was on public water and sewer, I would make sure that I understood exactly what the problems were. And then if that problem can be mitigated with systems, I would install those systems because they're $4 or $5 grand. And then that would be my sole marketing ploy for every rental I then do there. And I would say, hey, I've got the cleanest water in the city. Guaranteed, we test it annually. Here are their scores from the last test. And that way you absolutely set yourself apart from everyone else. That's the first thing that I would do in that position.
Ditto.
Happy to do the heavy lifting on that one for you, Zoom.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you're the smart one. I never claimed to be the smart one.
They don't have wells where you are.
No, I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. You know, all water doesn't show up when I turn the faucet on. I don't get
it. Exactly.
So, Michael Smith, I would also track chronology and find out when people were aware of the issue and make sure that you gave proper notification to all tenants.
Yeah.
And then follow your municipality to find out what their requirements are and what they're doing to help fight it. And then depending on where you're at and what type of toxicity is in the water, look at what type of filtration systems that you as the owner could put into place to make it look like you took reasonable efforts to make it safe.
I saw Flint actually, they were on handing out water for well over a year. And
I saw that. Frightening.
That is frightening, right? That is frightening. I bought a foreclosure that had a well in it, and the well hadn't run in 2 years, and we had to test the water as part of the requirement, and we actually had to go through the entire thing and do a bunch of work. So it's one of those things.
Where's Sonny? Sonny's up there. Hey guys, I just wanted to come in and thank you guys for all you do. I don't normally jump on late.
It's true.
I've got dog walking duty. But,
fair enough. I'm just going to go back and watch this part of the video again to see what your house looks like anyway.
Yeah. Exactly. There's Happy right there.
Hey, Happy. Yeah. There he is.
Yeah. So anyways, I just want to thank you guys. You guys helped me out so much. I'm sorry, Dion, I don't get on your show very often. I will schedule it.
I totally understand.
I'll schedule it later. So anyways, I wanted to say thank you guys. Take care. And Dion, don't hurt yourself. And remember to call me tonight.
I will.
All right. Take care.
Bye.
See ya.
You got him answer a question.
I did. Yeah.
It's very nice of him.
He ninja'd in here. That's awesome.
He's the best.
All Nighter Hider says, don't put the well too close to the septic system.
That There's actually state code of how close it can be.
Yep.
Yeah. What's really funny is a lot of the lots here in New Hampshire, they don't meet the setback requirement. It's like
Because it came in.
well, they were put it, yeah, the rules came in, I think in the 70s or 80s. And there's one development that I actually own something in where the lots aren't big enough. Even if you put the well at the far corner of one and the septic at the far corner of the other, the lot's not big enough. So you have to basically get a variance. But yeah, that was a fun ordeal.
So here's a question from Ryan. And we will be wrapping up probably within the next 5 minutes. So unless there's a question that comes in like right now or a super chat or something, I have to go because I'm headed to Oregon. I'm going to go see how many bones I can break on a quad.
Sweet Lord.
Ryan asked a question. I have been consistently looking in my area for multifamily properties, but there aren't many that come on the market recently.
Yeah.
What do you think about the upcoming couple years? Millennial Mike, thoughts?
Personally, I'm understanding this problem firsthand right now. I'm trying to help a certain young lady friend of mine get her first house hack, and there's not a lot of duplexes, or at least not a lot of multifamily properties that are within her price range. She's approved up to $550,000, which is a lot in most parts of the country. But here, I'm sure Dion knows. I mean, that doesn't get you very much, unfortunately. And so the options are going to be compromise on what we want, or don't compromise on what we want. And I think the option is going to just be don't compromise on what we want. The only thing that I would compromise on would be maybe me personally, I would consider doing one of those larger houses with multiple bedrooms and house hacking individual bedrooms, because that can pencil out. But as you could probably understand, a little 5'2" woman doesn't really feel comfortable living in a house with a bunch of other dudes potentially that she could be renting to, even though she would have the opportunity to choose her tenants. She likes the idea of a multifamily better. Personally, I'm going to keep looking. If you really wanted to take it up a level, at some point, the opportunity for driving for dollars or mailing is going to come about, and there's going to be a lot less competition moving forward as rates go higher. There's going to be more opportunities for seller financing. As the market shifts, you just have to shift with it. And so that's what I would do. I mean, Zuber is sending out mailers, capitalizing on people's fear. You could do the same thing. You could knock on people's doors and say, I'll still pay you yesterday's prices, but at my terms, and maybe find yourself a seller financing deal. I mean, these are really the only options you have right now. It's unfortunate, but that's how it is.
I just want the record to show that you said we twice. I'm just saying.
I'm helping her. It's like I'm part of the team.
No need to get defensive.
She watched a couple of these live streams and went through the comments and found the stuff you say. I'm getting in trouble. I have to be careful what I say nowadays.
I noticed your book's turned, so it's not reflective anymore.
She's not here right now.
So, when you're...
So I was just going to say, to answer that question real quick. So in my market right now, in my 3 towns that I watch, there's only 8 available. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
I've still done 17 deals in the last 18 months. You just be patient, wait, understand what's coming. And then if that's not working truthfully, you need to be calling agents. Look at the agents that sold those properties, not the ones that were the buyers, but the sellers, the selling agents. Call those agents. Birds of a feather flock together. And likely that's not the only multifamily. They then get sought out for multifamily sales, or they have a relationship with a landlord that's like, yeah, let this one go, etc. I'm telling you, make the call to those agents, and you'll likely find a deal that hasn't made it to market yet.
So two things to think about, Ryan, is I think I've seen your name a few times, so you might know what I'm about to say, because this is kind of like my answer to this question. How are you looking?
Mm-hmm.
Redfin and Zillow, I only saw my deals 2 or 3 months after I closed, and they showed up as pending. So MLS is where I'm finding them, and it takes more than one agent to search. It's searching on the MLS is nuanced. I've only had one time in 10 years where 2 agents sent me the same deal within 24 hours. So 3 or 4 agents with auto searches set up. Also consider, if you're looking for small multifamily, house with an ADU. This is kind of a missed asset class because home buyers don't want a tenant, and most landlords, most owners are hunting for, we want small multifamily, but you don't know what the listing agent is going to call the ADU. There's different colloquialisms for each area. Some will call it ADU, DADU, granny flat, mother-in-law house, accessory dwelling unit, auxiliary dwelling unit, detached. Like, put all of those words in your search. Make sure your agents know that you're wanting all of those, because they work just like a duplex, but they have the benefit of getting single family lending, because even though there's 2 units, it's a house. Multiple agents searching. That's definitely what I would do there, and just keep
100%.
hunting every day. You don't need all the deals. You just need that one to show up that you want.
Yeah.
And then Matt Motley asks the lumberjack and real estate mindset video. It was on real estate mindset. So it'll be one of his most real estate mindsets channel, be one of his most recent videos.
I just posted the link in the chat. I don't know if they can click on it.
It was 2 hours long. It was about 2 hours long, and I was in
First
the
30
half
minutes
hour.
you were
Yeah.
there. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. So the giveaway for the book for today, all based on chats. 43. And I didn't break the desk. So now maybe one of you guys can wrap up with something while I count 43 down.
Sure. So, yeah, we'll just do a promo for my channel. So on Thursday, we have DIY cost seg, which actually we're going to be having them on. I used them this last year for my taxes, doing cost segregation. They are much less expensive than an actual person coming on site and doing a cost seg. And it was completely acceptable at that time to the IRS to use that service. So I'm a huge fan. As part of their interview with me, we're actually going to have a special discount code that they will allow for people to use for the DIY cost seg. And like I said, I think that, and you need to be talking to your CPAs and understanding exactly what the value of that for you is, but we're going to cover some of that in the video on Thursday.
Ironically, according to the chats, the winner is me. On my phone.
Roll again.
I said, thank you so much, Laura. So I'm going to take me out. That makes Mad 76 the winner of this week's audiobook.
Nice.
I would like you to get 15 Conversations with Real Estate Millionaires. If you have it, you can pick any other finance book you want. And if you don't want a finance book, you can pick any book you want. My email, mad76, is in the chat. Email me and we'll get you set up. You'll need an Audible account. You don't have to pay for it. You just need to create one. And then I buy the book and gift it to you. So it'll show up in your stuff. I want to say thank you to everyone who came and hang out tonight. Beth and Mike for jumping in. That was awesome. And Mike and Matt for being here. You guys are too cool. Lumberjacks next live stream Sunday
11:30 a.m. Eastern time. Yep.
Eastern time, and Millennial Mike's next live stream.
I was right here with you, man. Come on. Maybe I'll do one Saturday afternoon.
Okay, awesome, cool. Everybody in the South, watch out for Ian.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
Yes.
Until my next video. Thanks for coming to my Dion Talk.